Thank you for joining us today. Today we are here with Julian Assange's father. Could you introduce yourself for our young viewers in Germany?
Hi everybody, I'm John Shipton, Julian Assange's father, and I've spent considerable time in Germany and in Berlin and Cologne speaking to people about Julian's situation, and the German movement for bringing freedom to Julian is extremely strong.
And could you tell us, we always hear the case about the legal situation, the situation with journalism, but can you provide us a perspective about how you, in terms of feelings and emotions, how you feel about this? And also, the last part of the question, what can individuals do to support Assange at this crucial moment in time?
Well, answering the last question first, there's plenty you can do. I mean, for example, you can write to the Minister of Justice, or you can support De Link or the Green parliamentarians who are acting to bring freedom to Julian, and consequently bring a freedom of press and freedom of discussion and freedom of conversation to all of Europe.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us today. We have a lot of young viewers in Germany that follow us, so just briefly, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Kristinn Hrafnsson. I'm an Icelandic investigative journalist. I've been with Wikileaks for 10 years. Prior to that, I was working as a journalist in Iceland mostly for 20 years. And I took over as editor-in-chief from Julian when the situation became so unbearable in the Ecuadorian embassy that he couldn't operate there anymore.
So you, in your speech today, you talked about that you visit Assange today. Could you, for our viewers, just describe the situation there, how he's doing, how he's feeling, and how he's psychologically and physically holding up?
He is holding up absolutely remarkably well considering the circumstances. I mean, every ordinary individual would have collapsed way before, but he is an extremely strong personality, but it has taken a toll. He was in a critical condition while he was basically being isolated in the hospital wing. That was solitary confinement basically. He recently was moved from out of the that wing and has now more interaction with the inmates. He has improved a lot since then. And he has also been heartened by the support that he recognizes coming from the outside, and even from the prisoners in Belmarsh, who actually have petitioned on 3 occasions for a change in the situation. This is extraordinary, inspiring. You would find more humanity by the hardened prisoner in the maximum security prison in the UK than with the authorities or the government here in the UK who actually okayed the extradition. So he has been improving, but you have to look back as well that he spent all these years in the Ecuadorian embassy, and the fact that that sanctuary was transformed into a prison towards the end of his time there in embassy when there was a change in government in Ecuador. So it's been a long fight, and it's not over. It will take, could even take years to fight for his freedom if we have to go through appeal court and the Supreme Court here. But let's hope it doesn't come to that with public support, because it does matter both in this country and internationally in Germany, all over the world, that pressure can be applied to actually end this very tragic situation that we have to fight for an innocent man, a publisher, for the simple crime of publishing the truth.
The case of Julian Assange might pave the way where they might come from WikiLeaks directly. Do you fear that they might come and prosecute you personally and your team? And lastly, what can people do that cannot take part in campaigns, that cannot take part, but do want to change and support WikiLeaks and support investigative journalism, protect press freedoms?
Of course, we know that there are members of the team that have been in the crosshairs apart from Julian Assange. I myself has been under the investigation since 2010 or 11, and I've been knowing that since 2013. Yes, I do worry about others. There are actually people who have been contributing in even minor parts to publications that are of American citizens that are living in exile in Germany, for example, and other countries, whose identity the U.S. government knows, and they have been threatened of a sort. They have been approached and said, if you bear witness against Julian Assange, we will not prosecute you. And that this is what I call the Godfather offer, the offer you can't refuse. It's from the gangster film. It's a gangster technique, and these people are not returning to the United States and living in exile de facto. What can people do? People need to care, and they need to create a demand for more discussion about the Julian Assange case and the repercussions that his extradition could have on journalism in general. They should put a pressure on the journalistic community of this world to protest, to take a stand, and to cover it extensively, not with superficial, superfluous coverage about personalities, but of the main issue here. Because in essence, this is a blatant and serious attack on journalism, and because journalism is a foundation of our democratic value, it's an attack on European democracy. So everybody, everywhere, needs to take a stand and make his voice heard, because this is a line that is being crossed now of such serious nature that we would lose such a huge thing in our society if Julian extradited, that a thing we will never regain. And so stand up for Assange, as was being chanted here.
Thank you so much for your time.